Hey, shut up. Do you want to see the most cursed thing you'll ever see in any Destiny community ever? Yeah, this is the culmination of my life decisions. I'm proud of myself. Welcome back, audience, to another GDT video. I'm your humble host, Mesum777. In today's video, if you aren't familiar, what we do is we take some of the worst, best, and ugliest exotic ideas from you guys in the comment section, as well as whatever Patreon supporters wanted to throw an idea or two my way, and we try to make them either somewhat viable, or we laugh at them, or we congratulate them for having a legitimately fantastic idea. This time around, we've got a very special blend of herbs and spices that have caused me so much pain. I literally sat here and thought to myself, you know, I think I might have lost a few years off my total lifespan trying to make these viable, because I've gone through and decided to inflict the pain upon myself of making every single one of the exotic ideas that caught my interest in one regard or another and tried to make them something that could possibly be seen in the game. Let's get going. So the very first thing that caught my eye here was from a Patreon user here. They have the idea of the Maelstrom. It's an exotic auto rifle in the kinetic slot, fires 1,000 rounds per minute. So I'm wondering to myself immediately, why isn't this a trace rifle? But it gets better or gets worse depending on your definition. Its intrinsic perk is that it has explosive rounds. Full stop. We have an exotic weapon that fires 1,000 rounds per minute, presumably, because I'm not seeing anything in here that implies that it uses special ammo, uses kinetic normal primary ammo. 1,000 rounds per minute of explosive rounds. If you thought dealing with a hand cannon or a scout rifle with explosive rounds was difficult enough, imagine 1,000 round bullet hose spraying you down from across the map would be, oh my gosh. That alone is warrant enough to cause me to have a hernia. When this weapon fires, each round stays in the target, leaving 1x the bullet for a debuff. For each round that lands on the target, it will add up until the opponent is defeated. Does not cap, so you can just keep on firing. When a target is defeated, bullets fly in all directions. So I like that idea because it's essentially, like you mentioned here, a bullet or projectile version of like a Firefly type effect, but 1,000 rounds per minute for explosive rounds. That doesn't seem problematic. That nothing clicked and said, wait a minute, that might be. I was so perturbed by this that I sat down and with the free version of MS Paint modeled in an AK-47, because the only way to salvage this idea is to drastically drop the rounds per minute and make it look coolish. I'm really proud of how this ended up turning out. That looks straight up like an AK-47. This is all weapon and model parts from the game. That looks like an AK-47. I thought that was cool. And here's the exotic perk there. I guess in this case, why did I make this legendary? Maybe I'm the stupid one. It has high caliber rounds, so a flinch is already kind of being built into this. It has demolitionist, and here's the interesting perk, Maelstrom. Killing a target or getting a grenade kill grants a period of explosive payload on your shots. Further damage increases the size of these explosions. I really like the idea behind this. Be sure to rip this idea, my idea, a new one in the comment section down below if you don't like it though. Let's keep rolling. I've seen variants of a Karen exotic, and can we take a moment to pour one out for the homies that are named Karen, because the name Karen has been forever just drugged through the mud. No one is going to name their kids Karen after this generation, because we have absolutely defamed that name to the point of it being a bad word. Quite literally a bad word. I am so sorry for anybody named Karen. This is not your fault. It really wasn't. I know a handful of Karens that are actually really nice people. But their exotic idea is the Karen. The flavor text is, get me your manager. The exotic perk is, when you have this weapon equipped, all vendors have half the price of everything. But if you buy more than 3 items, the vendor will kick you out of their shop for the day. Obviously, this is just by its very default in the wrong spot. This the Karen isn't gonna be a sniper rifle, it's a freaking helmet, of course. This is the Karen's Wrath. The exotic perk is the Manager. Combatant and Guardian kills grant stacks of My Son. Increase stacks, reduce vendor prices, but increase the chance of the vendor never talking to you for the rest of the week. Now, you may look at this and say, obviously this was meant to be a joke. Of course it is, but I legitimately think that some variant of this, obviously with more serious veneer over the top of it, could legitimately be something that could work. The more kills you get, the more stacks you can get, up to 100%. But it's a give and take. Every kill or every stack that you get that gives these stacks, it reduces the price, a straight linear 1% per stack. But the problem is that as those stacks increase, you also increase the chance of the vendor not selling you any further items while you have that equipped for the rest of the week. We've already got things that kind of do something similar where we get more materials out of certain activities. This obviously is now baked into an exotic, and it gives you kind of an interesting mini game of, if you want to do it, let's say 50%, you could flip the coin and see if you can get like half off the price of an Ascendant Shard purchase. Or you could get it up to 100 and guarantee yourself an Ascendant Shard purchase. Let's roll forward. Next up from another Patreon user. By the way, if you want to help support these videos, which we are trying to get ourselves slowly established as a full-time content creator, or you want to get just access to my DMs through Patreon, there's a link down below for the Patreon. Like I mentioned, it really does help us out. It means a lot. But if you're interested in something like that, if that's something that you think that you want to do, great. If not, your eyeballs on the screen are plenty of support enough for me. Really, I really do appreciate it. Let's go ahead and get into this though. This is the Sapphires Keter. Removes your super and gives 25% ability decrease. I'm not sure if he means like your abilities come back 25% faster as it decreases the cooldown time, or it decreases the actual like speed of it, but it actually doesn't matter. It gives the wearer a 75 health increase, not shield, don't know why that matters, but regardless. Faster melee and a 10% movement speed increase, a significant buff to targeting after being revived. Now, there is no good way I could think of to possibly balance something like this. We had something similar back in Destiny 1, but in Destiny 2, supers have become far more valuable to the overall damage game and raids. Here's what it does instead. It disables your super in exchange for orbs of power, granting you a 10-second period of elemental empowerment. If you're watching this roughly when the video came out, we're in the middle of the Solstice of Heroes, which when you get 30 of these little elemental orbs, you get elemental overpower, which gives you a big boost to a bunch of different areas. Each of them do something different. I'm not gonna go through every single one of them here because we would be here for quite a while, but nevertheless, let's just say that it gives you like a very mock-up, weird mini version of a super. So the idea behind this is that while you might not have your super all the time, you could get kind of like little spurts of like mini supers as you pick up orbs. And in PvP, orbs will only typically happen when you actually get supers up anyway. Obviously you can get double kills and such, but those don't happen very often, and especially in higher end PvP play like Trials, orbs of power don't pop out all that often, and typically when they do, the round is basically over. That's the best way I could come up with it. I don't think we should ever have an exotic that gives you just a straight linear increase in health without some serious drawbacks, especially with your super. If you guys can find a way of balancing this better, I am all ears. Next up on our list, we have Madara's Enlightenment. The idea behind this is that this is a buff to your Nova Bomb, something that, ironically, we put out a TDT newsletter post on our community tab talking about Nova Bomb kind of being, unfortunately, not that used very often. I want to blow shit up. I don't know about any other Warlock out there, but I want to blow some shit up. And I think we need an exotic that helps us blow some shit up and makes it viable in like higher end play, not just the run a well, lol. So here's what the user came up with. The exotic perk is called Heaven Concealed. When using your super, it summons a massive slow falling Nova Bomb that doesn't detonate but crushes enemies that it comes in contact with. Summons a second Nova Bomb after a period of time. The Nova Bombs explode when they touch each other, triggering a massive explosion. Now, I think there's a little too much going on here, but I came up with an idea that might help Nova Bomb in general. That's a little bit more straightforward. Obviously sticking with the name and the name of the perk, but the perk rework for this is that Nova Bomb instead summons above the location of your targeting. Nova Bombs are larger, deal more damage, and last longer. So effectively what you can do is wherever you're looking, let's say up to 40 meters, when you cast your Nova Bomb, you'll essentially do the animation as you would for an Empowering Rift, giving the ground a good old high five, and then a Nova Bomb will summon above the target where you are looking, and it'll be a big Nova Bomb. Not completely like, world shattering, but like a Spirit Bomb, something relatively large. I want to make sure that I feel the Dragon Ball Z flow through me when I make this happen. I'm thinking possibly what this could do is possibly being that this quote unquote makes the Nova Bomb last longer, make Bottom Tree, the Vortex Nova Bomb, be a little bit more viable. I've heard some people in the PvE community say that Devour isn't the best, so maybe if we made the Nova Bomb a little bit better, it might make this tree in general feel a bit better. Let me know what you think. But for the featured exotic of this week, we have the Morphic Reconstruction. It is a kinetic special breach grenade launcher. Its exotic perk is called Reconstruction. Now, we've already got a problem because that's already a name of a perk, but let's ignore that fear for just a second. This grenade launcher shoots small drones that fly in a nice straight line, lodging themselves on targets on direct hits. Dealing further damage to the hit target will trigger the drones and cause them to shred the target that they've attached to. And if they kill that target, they transform them into a small turret that fires automatically on nearby enemies. Again, there's a lot going on here. We're gonna pull that back. I like some of the ideas though, so I'm gonna pull some of that out. The second perk is called Backup Protocol. If the target survives the reconstruction, so being hit by the drone, they are suppressed and slowed for 1 second. PvP, that is way too much. We don't want to give people special weapon access to suppressor grenades because that would just literally just deny supers permanently. That's going to be a problem. So we're going to have to pull that one out there. But I like the idea of a special ammo drone launcher. So here's what I came up with. The exotic perk is called the Asimov Principle. Shoots an automatic drone that fires at targets. Think like a trip mine grenade, but it shoots similar to how an Arc Soul would or the Bleak Watcher would. This would only deal kinetic damage as it stands just by default without doing anything to it. Interesting part is the second perk called Prototype Phase. Using an ability changes the elemental damage to match your subclass, similar to the Keen-Eyed, if you've already seen that I'm just using the Osmosis perk symbol here, but this works on all of your abilities, so it's a little easier to trigger. And breaking an elemental shield recharges ability energy. So this essentially combines Wellspring into the ability to just break a shield in general, and it allows you to get really good access to keeping damage on the battlefield, specifically elemental damage. Great for PvE, especially within things like Lost Sectors, as I could see you safely from around the safety of cover, putting some damage on a target. And obviously this wouldn't be a ton of damage, just enough to maybe chew through that initial shield and maybe deal a slight bit of damage afterward. And then after that, just in terms of PvP, it's a turret. Like, the ability to get a turret up on the battlefield we have seen has been very, very powerful, and I think this would be really cool. I think we'd have to be careful and not allow too many turrets to be on the field at once, maybe limit it to something like 2. Obviously, we wouldn't make the damage ridiculous, let's say 55. They could be easily explodicated if somebody was getting annoyed at them, which I'm sure plenty of people would be. But this idea is really, really cool. I love this. This is fantastic. So thank you all for submitting your ideas. These are always fun to make. I know I kind of shit on some ideas, but legitimately, these are a lot of fun to make, and I really do appreciate the support. I'd also appreciate it if you guys would please share these videos around. The views have been tinkering off a bit, and if you want to keep these going, we got to keep seeing interest in them, or we're going to try to mix it up in order to keep things fresh. But anyway, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Bless your faces. Deuces.